You would like the Beaman report.
Ready to rock and roll? Okay, Mr. Rasmussen, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mr. Nowotnik, would you call the roll, please?
All right. Rye Town Park meeting Tuesday, 4/21. Commissioner Brett,
Here.
Commissioner Salanitro. Commissioner Rosenberg called to be excused, as did Commissioner Pilla, Commissioner Sach,
Here.
and Commissioner Carvin.
Here. Wonderful. Okay. I actually missed the March meeting, but anybody have any questions, comments on the minutes of the December 16th meeting or the March 17th meeting?
No, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Well, I wasn't here for December, and I have a couple of things on the March.
Okay, so let's do them one at a time.
Okay.
So December, I was here. Can I get a motion to approve the December minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Now, as to your comments, Mayor Sach,
Sure,
on the March 17th minutes?
Not too big. One, comments from the public. There's a comment attributed to Russell Holt. I think it's Russell Gold,
Oh, I'm sorry.
who's actually here tonight.
Russ? Sorry.
It's hard to hear on the recording.
Sure. And then I gave an update, I guess, with regard to the replacement of the pipes that drain from Forest Avenue into the pond. And one thing that I did note on the record was that, while Rye was going to undertake to do it at its own expense, at the time being, in that it's somewhat of a exigent project, we would leave open the question and raise it for discussion with the full commission at a later time as to the appropriate allocation of costs on that. So if you could just insert something in
Okay.
there.
I thought I did. I apologize.
And then item number 7, it says Commissioner Sach asked that all capital expenses be put on hold. I don't know if I said that. I think I said that we probably ought not to be putting money into the beach collection booths if we're going to get rid of them next year. I think that's what I said.
Or was this just, was this discussion centered around waiting till the next meeting to?
Yeah, we had deferred both the budget and the capital.
No. Bishop, talk into the mic, I think.
Yep. That's my recollection. I mean, there was a lot of discussion regarding capital.
Okay.
And ultimately, I think the decision was, the commission wanted to wait so that Carvin could weigh in on the budget plan, and the capital plan did not have to be decided.
Okay.
But it looks like you're suggesting we don't need to invest any capital in
Right.
the park, which you
Okay,
will
we can
avoid
change,
that.
we can change
So
that.
you'll alter that to make me look better, Bishop.
Yes, I will.
And then just, I guess, if you could reflect at the top of the minutes that I left it halfway through the meeting or at some point in the meeting,
Oh,
so I wasn't there for the full deal.
okay.
Other than that,
Approximately, you want to give me a time there? 7:30,
I
7:15?
think I left at 7:15.
7:15 PM.
And
Okay.
I think you have the same kind of constraint this evening.
I do.
So we'll try and
I
get
do.
this
Okay.
motoring. Good, okay.
To
Any-
approve with the changes as amended?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Bishop, good.
Okay.
All right, comments, Goldie, from the public?
President Carvin. Should be Supervisor Carvin.
That's a nice ring to it, Goldie.
I know, but the most important thing is Rye Town. Rye Town has the most wonderful history. And what's so important is Oakland Beach. When I go to Oakland Beach, I praise God and I say thank you, God, for those people who have brought this beach to us. It's very important. It's the most beautiful beach in the whole area. The most beautiful beach. And thank you for taking care of the doggies. I love doggies, but they have to be leashed in order to be in the park. And that's great. And I love working with Billy at the concerts and trying to pass out the agendas and of the concerts. I want to thank you all for being on the board. And I want to thank you not only for Oakland Beach, but for Crawford Park. Rye Town is very important to all of us. So please, keep it going, okay? Keep it going, because everything you have in Rye Town is important to us in the history of Rye Town.
Thank you very much, Goldie. Thank you. I think you got your wish. Yeah, please.
Hi. Linda Wells, Friends of Rye Town Park. Good evening. I just thought I'd give you a few updates, and I'll just take them as they are listed here. The first is the new park benches. The benches themselves, as most of you know from the last meeting, are here, just not assembled and not yet installed. The dedication plates are not yet in, and that's due to some give and take on the layouts and what the wording was, and I'll take the responsibility for that being late. But they'll be here in about 2 weeks. So we will coordinate with Bishop on plans for installation and placement. And to that end, just thought I would mention that we took some of our board members and Bill Lawyer and Bishop actually toured the park area months ago in anticipation of doing this project and selecting sites where we thought the benches should go. And I've not yet had an opportunity to meet with them again, but wanted to let you know that I've met with a landscape architect to get some finer direction on what we think we need to do with regard to the benches to serve the function need of some seating and the aesthetic need of keeping the park a park. So I will gladly review that with Bill and Bishop as their schedules allow, and we can put things in place in anticipation of putting the 7 new benches in that we now have. And then moving forward, what we'd like to do is relocate some of the existing cement benches to those locations where new benches could go at some later date to replace them, and kind of parcel things out and mark them so that we have a game plan for expansion of the program. And then Friends discussed possibly doing an informal gathering to kind of kick this off with the existing donors and thank them for their donations to the park, and that would give us a little more public exposure to launch a campaign, if you will, for more benches.
Wonderful.
We have a duck feeding machine in operation that I think has been quite successful to date. It seems to be widely accepted by the public. We keep refilling it, so that's a good sign. The children like it, and if we've had occasion to be in the park to, refill it and talk to adults who might be launching bagels into the pond, draw their attention to the sign there, have a little discussion, and before you know it, a quarter goes in the machine and a handful of feed comes out. And I think it's a pilot program, but so far the indication is that it's going to be a success. We'll just have to watch it and see what happens. We also discussed that if it's widely successful, we might put a second one in, a little farther away towards the gazebo area, but rather than some big dispensing machine, we'd have 2 small ones. And we will also participate with the park with refilling them. One of our board members will take a couple of days of the week, go down there and monitor them so that if they're not full, our fear is that the bread's going to be launched into the pond again. But anyway, so far so good.
Great.
We are going to have a ladybug release on May 15th at 4 p.m. by the Flagpole Garden, which is kind of a rite of spring. And we hope that through some endorsement and at the Milton School and maybe the Midland School, that we'll have enough children, more than we've had in years past, draw their attention
What
to.
is I apologize, what is the ladybug release?
May 15th.
No, what is it?
We launch live ladybugs into the air, hopefully, so that some of them will survive, and will actually perform a function of eating the aphids and helping with the plant life in the park.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we've done that, I think, twice before, a couple of times.
That's beautiful.
3 times before.
What's the date?
May 15, 4 p.m. And we are also going to have a movie on July 16th. Rain date is the 23rd, and the movie this year is going to be The Sandlot, which is a great summer movie. I think it'll have broad-based appeal, so we're looking forward to that. And then
Sorry, June 15th?
July.
July 15th.
16. July 16, yes, and the rain date's the 23rd.
Great.
And we will be sure to put the rain date on whatever signage we have so that people will know, which we did not do last year. And then the last thing is really just a question for the commission more than anything else is that, our board members have commented amongst ourselves that when we've had occasion to be in the park or not, we've been approached by people asking, what's the situation with the leash enforcement? So I don't know where we are in that plan, but I know that I've been in the park a lot over the last 2 weeks, and I don't see much in the way of a presence there. So just to be able to respond to people would be nice to know where we are.
Are you saying dogs are off leash?
Yeah,
After 9 o'clock?
all day long,
All day long?
yeah.
Okay.
So just in anticipation
Sure.
of more
We're
questions,
going to talk about that tonight?
Yeah, I've got an update.
Yep.
that'd be
Okay.
great.
Great.
And that's it, that's all I have.
Well, again, thank you for all the great work you do in the park. The Friends of Ride Town Park, thank you, Linda, for that update.
You're welcome.
Other comments from the public? Please, Russ. Russ Holt or Russ Gold?
Whatever. Apologize.
G-O-L-D.
Your alter ego.
I usually like to start my comments off with, giving credit where credit is due, and tonight's no exception. After the last month, pointed out 3 major, what we thought were major safety and aesthetic issues: the wall at the bottom of Oakland Beach, the other wall at the where the abutment is got hit and sprung loose at Seaside Johnny's, and of course the storm drain issue. Happy to see, like almost the very next day, they started work on the wall. That's the good news. The bad news is it was like 1 day in a row, and that's it. It's just completely stopped, and I don't really think that that's really any way to manage a project. So, but I'll let you guys deal with that. And then, great that they started work on the drainage issue, because again, I think it's another major safety issue. And it's nice to see that they started on it, and I hope they'll get to completion soon. The third one, they haven't started on yet, but I spoke to Fred just a few minutes ago, and he says that it's on the list. Okay, so we'll take it.
So what's the status, Bishop and Fred?
Well, the drain was finished today. I think all of the, the protective stanchions were removed. As far as the wall on Forest Avenue, there were weather-related issues. There was rain, et cetera, but we're being told that that wall should be finished by Monday.
Okay.
Please, yes, yeah, please.
So on the drainage issue, I'm not sure it's done. I think, my understanding from the city engineer is that they have started some preliminary work in terms of digging pits or borings.
We're talking two different drains.
Okay.
The drain, I think, that Mr. Gold is talking about is the drain in the middle of the parking lot.
Yeah, the storm drain that's right at the bottom of that connects Oakland Beach. The storm runoff that goes into the pond.
Then I'm thinking of a different one. We had a problem with a culvert that was right in the middle of the parking lot as you enter, and it was ponding. Turns out the culvert was collapsed.
No, this is in the overflow parking area.
Well, we took care of that. One. Now I'll defer to you
good.
because your people are doing.
It was nice to see that they began.
Has started the process. Hopefully in the next couple weeks they put it out to bid or retain somebody. I don't know how exactly they're going to do it. But the kicker is as you know, because I amended the minutes, the City of Rye's position is it's an open question as to who has to pay for that.
Right,
I do understand that reasonable minds may differ.
right.
But one thing is for sure, if you want bells and whistles on the drainage project, for instance, if you want to install things that don't already exist, like filtration for water that's going into the pond and that sort of thing, we would certainly not be planning on doing that right now. So if the commission wanted to investigate doing those extra types of things, then I think for sure that would be a decision that the commission would have to make, and we'd have to agree to pay for that. So.
Well, one of the things we have to be cognizant of is that we now have 3 open pits there. The last time I was down there, they dug 2 exploratory holes got down to where they figured where the pipe is supposed to run. Okay, so now those are surrounded by sawhorses, and then the original one, which has the manhole cover, which has been surrounded for I don't know how long. So we're getting close to the beginning of the season, and we're going to have 3 open pits in an active area of the park.
Well, the plan is not to leave them open.
Okay.
In order to fix the problem, we have to do it.
Right,
So
okay.
either we don't do
Yeah.
it or we do it. I think in all seriousness, yeah, they're going to
Yeah.
try to finish it up as soon as possible.
Good,
So.
good,
And in the meantime, as you indicate, they're surrounded by sawhorses. So.
good. Last, I think on my just thing that I wanted to mention, I mentioned this to you in an email, Mayor Sach, is that there's been some, I guess, question of whether we need, whether the community is looking for another public open forum, that we have had the last few years. Some people said, well, most of the issues have been addressed, and some people said, no, we should be a little bit more transparent. So I'm going to ask that if you guys or somebody, we could have some representation from the commission, maybe on a Saturday in May, prior to the opening of the park, just to give people, an opportunity to speak what's on their mind and get your ear for a minute. Maybe on, I was thinking Sunday, May 16th, I think, is it a Sunday or a Saturday?
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday afternoon, or
Yeah,
maybe a
I don't know if
Saturday.
it's Mother's Day, but that.
Oh, it's Mother's Day?
No,
Well,
I think the 10th is Mother's
No,
Day.
it's not.
Mother's
It's,
Day.
Oh,
It's not Mother's Day.
no.
I have to say,
Right.
Mother's Day is the 10th. Well, I think, well, first of all, it's a wonderful suggestion. Second, we've done it for the last several years now. I think we should keep it up. The only problem, I can't do the weekend of the 15th, 16th. I could do the 9th, Saturday, May 9th.
That's
If the
doable
commission-
also. So if you could, well,
What's that?
but
I just say that if you really want to get the word out, that's very short notice to try to get the word out.
The whole idea is not to get the word out, Bill. Did you know that? No, I'm joking.
No, I think that-
We have enough
I
time
think-
between now, it's April what? April 21?
Right.
Yeah.
well,
Laura,
the
could you be there? I couldn't be
24th
there.
is Memorial Day weekend, so.
I mean, Mother's Day's tough,
Well,
unless it's a cheap date. No, but I think,
could
come
do a-
yell at,
we could
come
do a-
yell at the
We're
park.
not doing this on Mother's Day. I think that,
Right. We could also-
Come-
yeah, I think
Hey,
it's Saturday.
we could
Kids.
also do a
Kids.
Saturday.
10 to 12
We could also do a Saturday.
Saturday,
At the beach, at the pavilion.
at the pavilion, 10 to 12,
May 9th?
May 9th.
Bill, I think I appreciate it's tough, but we'll give it Mother's Day, and then we don't want to go too late, then we're Memorial Day weekend, so I think unfortunately, we'll just try and get the word out as quickly as we can.
And we'll put some, maybe we could just put some flyers up on the bulletin boards in the park.
I think somehow the board seems to circulate.
I think it'll help with the dog issue, because I know that they've given out quite a few permits, over 100. I have one, but yet there doesn't, and this will maybe answer some of the, people can ask questions and answer some, and you can maybe give them some answers about what the plan is for enforcement. Because I agree, because I think whoever came up with this idea, I think I'm a dog owner, I'm in there all the time, but I think it's a great idea that you worked out this compromise, but it's only as good as the enforcement.
All right, so are we ready for an update on that?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
because
Why don't
it
we,
sounds-
please?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's
I
what
said, are we
I'm-
ready for
yeah.
an update? Or if
Yeah,
you're
okay,
finished
so
with your
I'm going to
remarks,
sit
I'm
down, but
happy
thank
to-
you all for listening, and thank you for.
Great, thank you. Yep, please.
Thanks. So Russ is correct. We have given away over 100 permits for dogs off leash. 109 is the exact number. And the city of Rye did promise enforcement. It's my understanding that there was a police officer there on Saturday, and that there's been some spot checking. But the code enforcement officer that we told you we'd included in our budget took a little time to get online. And that's the reason why we haven't had a consistent presence at the park. Starting April 27th, we will have a code enforcement officer on premises from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. From 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., he's going to check for registration, and then from 9 to 10, he's going to be there to make sure that the dogs are all on leash. And then he has other code enforcement responsibilities, but he will, part of his responsibilities are to continue spot checking at the park on an ongoing basis during the day.
Great, okay. Please, hold on, okay, Goldie?
I just want to tell you something. Is there any way we can get people to donate their services? How can we get the message out? We need people to donate their services to help at Oakland Beach and maybe at Crawford Park if you need help, instead of paying for it.
Sure, that's a good.
We need donors, donations.
Bishop, can we post something on the website?
Sure.
We need donors
Yep, good.
to
That's a
donate
good-
their services.
Yep, that's a good
Volunteers.
suggestion, yep.
And Lieutenant Craig of the Rice City Police Department has scheduled a meeting with Larry Miano, who is the
Yep.
security supervisor in Rytown Park.
Who's
to
also,
kind of-
he's still with you guys, right?
Right, he's
Yep.
still with us, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to sit down and iron out some of the details on enforcement, but we have not reneged on our responsibilities. It's just it's taken us a little longer to get that code enforcement officer in place. So
Excellent.
anyway, so I think going forward, we really are going to have that enforcement that we promised.
Perfect. I think that there's some other points or questions people had. Yes, Bill?
You know, we had, excuse me, we had the Lustgarten Foundation Walk for Cancer Research last weekend, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people there, and many people were asking about what's with these new dog laws. And so I said I would just bring it up that, you know, people feel like we really need to get everybody on board. And I don't know, can we know who this new person is? Do we have his name? Is this
What's
something?
your name? I don't have a name right now, but
Because we were thinking it wouldn't be a bad idea for, and I'm glad to know you're working with Larry Miano to go over that, because, you know, but all the rangers that I spoke to who've been on work feel like they're not quite up to speed on what exactly is going on, and I think having some meetings like you were suggesting would be a very helpful thing
I
to do.
think that's in the works. So hopefully everybody will be
Good.
up to speed shortly.
Other comments? Just come up, Fred.
In your packet, you have
Yep.
a flyer.
I sent Larry
Dog
over, I
flyer.
think he was there today, I'm not sure. But as soon as he gets together with the lieutenant there, he's going to get all of his security guys together and explain to them what's going on and what needs to be done. So we're on that with that lieutenant.
Wow. Again, just to be absolutely certain, so people are very clear on this, the dogs are off leash up until 9 o'clock.
And then after
And
that.
then after that, on leash, and the whole trade-off and quid pro quo is enhanced enforcement after 9 o'clock. And in order to have your dog off leash, you need a permit and follow certain restrictions. Could you just remind us what those restrictions are, Commissioner Brett?
The restrictions are that you can't, you have a minimum number of dogs, or a maximum number of dogs you can have in the park, which is 3. You have to clean up after your dog, and you need to have your dog under voice control at all times. And I think when you go apply for a permit, you make a commitment in writing to uphold those responsibilities. I think it's encouraging that we have 109 permits that have already been applied for and given away. So I think that there is certainly a willingness to comply.
Well, my hope is that the dog owners help regulate and other people to comply, because at 9:05, I think one of the hopes is that they will self-regulate in some sense as well, because clearly they're the beneficiaries, and we're still in
certainly hope so.
experimental phase, so I'll be looking forward to April 27th. What happens between April 27th and,
I think there's going to be
Between
spot
them and-
enforcement, and
Right.
we'll make sure that that happens, as I said. But, this is the shoulder season. This is the season when we see the most conflict. I wish I could tell you this was happening tomorrow, but April
Right.
27th is the date, and they do intend to give summonses. That's something that I think there's a rumor going around that there won't be any summonses issued in the first year of this, and that is not the case. We will be issuing summonses,
and that's a penalty, a fine?
and there's a fine
Is
associated
it
with
the
that.
$1,000 fine? Send that rumor out.
It's $1,000. No, unfortunately, it's not $1,000, but there is a fine associated with it.
Sorry, Fred, did you
No,
want to
that's
talk
it.
about, okay, Russell, did you want to say?
Just want to say, we have this is, it's in your phone.
Hold on, Bill, hold on one second.
No, I think Bill and I are going to talk about the same thing, is that the one other restriction or the one other caveat was that it's the area north of the pond.
Right, yeah, I
Okay,
see the
that's
map here in the
North of the
management report.
pond
Not just
and
everywhere.
off the pathways.
Yeah.
So I was there Saturday
Is it
morning.
marked out in any way or not?
It is not, but I was there Saturday morning at about 8:45, and there were a lot of dogs off leash in the park, but I will say there were no dogs on the path, which I was really surprised at because, you know, it's an invisible barrier, but at least on that piece of it, there seems to be at least some self-policing going on.
I empathize with Joe Carvin, and I'm hoping that everybody, people will be responsible dog citizens and, you know, self-police, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this flyer that you have a copy of, you know, I'm not saying this is the absolute final version of it, but it's a one-page piece of paper that explains the rules and has the map showing where it is. And so if anybody has any suggestions for fine-tuning this, but the thought is that this would be useful for our own staff so that everybody, whether they're a cashier or maintenance or whatever, they all would be familiar with what these rules are.
Yeah, in fact, that's a great suggestion, Bill. Could you and Fred make sure everybody understands the rules very clearly? Again, my expectation is the biggest beneficiaries are going to be the security people, because it's always been a horrific, they've always been in a horrific bind. Now, it's clear. Now you have the full support of the dog people, the city of Rye, Governor Cuomo, and President Obama. And so, but you have full support now. So now there's no questions asked. It's just very clear. And so the hope is that, please make sure you sit down with security staff, let them understand the rules very clearly and work with, again, I would encourage them to work with the dog owners because I think it's going to help them help regulate.
And the other thought is that the rangers could hand out these flyers to people, not necessarily over and over again, but at least for a while until the word got out that everybody can see. You know,
That's
it's
a
not
great
just-
idea.
That way, it's not just some ranger deciding on the fly what the rule is, you know, it's actually written out.
Would you make sure those get printed up, please, Bill? I think that's an excellent suggestion. And, you know, and they're supposed to have I'm reading here, they're supposed to have the permits in hand, correct?
On the dog.
On the dog?
Yeah,
Okay, on the
in
dog.
hand and
Oh,
on the dog,
beautiful.
yep.
Oh, good.
Yep, there's a medal on the dog, yeah.
Great, okay, so we advance to that. Any other comments from the public? Okay, Fred, let's go to the management report.
Commissioner Brett, do they, after 9, do they need these permits just to walk in the park, even on leash?
No, dogs are always allowed in the park on leash.
On leash?
Yep,
Whether they have a permit or not?
correct.
Okay.
It's just off-leash dogs that need the permit.
Yeah. Well, I'm optimistic about it, and I'm really hoping it works out. You know, we've had some cold weather to date, so we lost the first week of April to sort of rain and cold. So we've got our maintenance people. We have 3 of them on board right now, and I've given them a list, which you should have included in your packet, of what we need to do for the month of April, preparing for the opening in May. Our guys have already begun cleaning up the park, cleaning the flower beds, beginning to plant, and they took the covers off the tunnels from the beach to the tunnels. Now they need to paint the tunnels, walls and ceiling, and right down the line. The pond maintenance had made a stop by the park, so they've begun their process, and they've received their permit to treat the algae. The Friends, as you know, installed the cracked corn. We've been filling it for them, but now they have someone that's going to check it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then our guys will check it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to make sure it's full of corn. The quarter is for the purpose of buying more feed after we run out of feed. So thanks to Ann, with 2 new 50-pound bags, we have plenty of duck feed on hand. And as we go along, we're hoping that the people will understand that the bread and the bagels is not only not good for the ducks, but it's very bad for the pond, and it contributes to algae growth. And that's something that we've been trying to get under control. Now, Playland has been using our beach to get to their beach. They have a huge amount of sand that they're putting on their beach, so they go through our entrance and access their beach. Bishop attended a FEMA conference to discuss funds for damages that were done to our beach, and there's a whole paragraph there on what he did while he was there, and a follow-up with FEMA, because we could use those funds to repair our wall there. I talked about this to-do list. Now, parking, security, and safety, all 8 signs about the new dog laws have been installed. People are seeing them and asking questions about them and reacting to them. We do have an occasional dog running loose in the park, and hopefully, when the security guy comes, we'll be able to keep that to a limit.
I think that's very helpful, Fred. Does the commission have any questions? I mean, it's a pretty comprehensive report. Does the commission have any questions for Fred?
Yeah, I wanted to take a few minutes, if we could, just to go back to the FEMA report. Bishop, is probably your bailiwick since you met with them.
Yep.
I make a couple assumptions, and correct me if I'm wrong. I assume that after Sandy, we applied for disaster recovery monies to either for sand replenishment, for storm damage, storm-related
Yes.
damages.
Yes.
This was a follow-up to the disaster recovery
Yeah,
process?
all right, to reel this back, both the city of Rye and the Rye Town Park own sections of that wall. The city of Rye owns the far end section plus the street. Rye Town Park owns the wall coming up to the south booth. There's damage in both areas, so there are 2 project work orders, one in the city of Rye, one for the town. The city of Rye has been the lead agency, if you will, and they've been coordinating with Rotfeld Engineering. Drawings were made up. There have been several back and forths with FEMA in the process. And ultimately, the feeling that at least we had on our side was we need to build the wall differently than it was constructed, whenever it was, 100 years ago. The wall collapsed or portions of it collapsed in 1992, had to be rebuilt. And FEMA has finally come around to the mitigation concept. Dolph Rotfeld has put forth some new estimates, which I point out are about $1.3 million. That was the purpose of our meeting a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
However, we now have to take all of this new concept, and get it approved by the historic people. I think they're called SHPO.
Yeah,
State Historical, blah, blah, blah. All right. So that's where we are at the moment, is trying to get them to agree to a concept here that we would have a reinforced wall, and then we would layer on a shell of stone to make it look like the original.
Veneer. Okay.
Right.
So with the soft cost and then ultimately the total construction cost, do we have an agreement with FEMA on the reimbursement methods, and you said something about floating possibly?
Well, there's no agreement at the moment. There's nothing in writing, but the process that they explained to us, because we did ask, the process is that this is purely a reimbursement process. It would be our obligation, both the city of Rye and the town, to fund whatever needs to be funded, and then we would have to apply for reimbursement after the fact. That's why I indicated that there may possibly be some short-term borrowing required. I just don't know.
So the town of Rye thing then, Joe, not a Rye Park Commission item to deal with?
It seems to me it's both, really. You know, in other words, some of it's joint with the city of Rye and some it's,
Well, if we go back, we can take a lesson from the roof project that we had. It's exactly the same, and that is that we received approval to redo the roof of $1.4 million. The individual groups, meaning the city of Rye and the town of Rye, each had to fund their obligation. They could fund it however they wish, but each one had to fund their obligation. The only good side is that they did indicate they would take partial reimbursement requests, so there would be the ability to do some kind of progress payments.
payment.
However, again, they're 6 to 8 weeks for that process. So it's it's a funding problem that we're going to have to deal with.
But the city of Rye is already on board with the commitment to share in the percentage cost that you identified. Is there, we don't want to go through a process of getting SHPO approval and then say, well,
I don't know. The city engineer was present.
from a commission point of view, do we have to say anything? or
Well,
do
there
we
are
have
no
to-
costs. It's all
It's
going
a
to be
reimbursement.
reimbursed.
But the soft
So
costs
you're-
are getting reimbursed as well with the engineering
you're-
costs?
Yes, they did agree to that.
Okay.
The way I read the report, or whatever was in the packet, was that the town of Rye would do short-term borrowing to cover the outlay, and then the town of Rye would be reimbursed for
Okay.
that. I think if there's any question as to interest, I think this came up with the roof. I don't think it's unreasonable for the city of Rye to pay a share of the interest. But as far as the mechanism of who it is that's going to lay out the money, I think it's the town of Rye, right?
well, that's all, I guess the whole point is, that's why I say both, right? In other
I
words,
think
at
it
the end of
has-
the day,
I don't know whether we should
at the end of the day,
account for it in our budget, that's all.
we're both on the hook. And then the
Sure.
only question is mechanically,
Yes.
Right.
who upfronts the money? We're happy to do that, provided we have an understanding that we get reimbursed the interest.
Does the capital
Sure.
budget have to
I think
reflect
that's
this,
not
or is that
unreasonable.
going to be done this fiscal year?
Right, of course, our share of the.
That's how
To
we
be
get
frank
each
with you,
other. That's how we
I
done it
don't
best,
know.
yeah.
I'm sorry. The question was, does the capital budget have to reflect this? And I
Well,
leave
FEMA,
that
that's,
up.
FEMA's sort of, that's why I don't, FEMA's a little different, isn't it? Because in other words, since you're getting reimbursed at the end of the day, I don't know, I mean, what's the?
Just
reimbursement
remember,
timeframe?
the reimbursement, even what they agree to is 6 to 8 weeks. The slightest hitch anywhere, and you're talking, perhaps a couple of months, 3 months, 4
Yeah, but we're
months.
talking, but you're gonna get reimbursed, right?
We are going to get reimbursed, and at the moment, I can only guarantee 90%. I think the New York State has a separate reimbursement category, if I recall.
They went to 100%,
Well, as
but
we
that's
thi-
why I'm
you know,
asking, are we?
tonight
We
we're
don't
gonna-
have
well,
we
so
don't
tonight
have an
we're gonna-
agreement on that.
Well, tonight we're gonna talk capital budget, and I think, the way I would handle this is, whatever is reimbursed by FEMA, I would put in a special section, because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
at the end of 2 months, it sounds like outside, right? 2.5, we'll call it 3
I'll
months.
call it 3 months outside.
But it's not like a normal capital expenditure where you don't get reimbursed ever.
Right.
Well, it won't be
No,
100%,
no,
though.
that's correct.
So
No,
if
right,
it's
so I'm
not
saying, so that
100%, then
portion-
that's, and this is
That's
pretty
why-
So
significant.
that,
You're
no,
talking
so
about a
you're,
$1.3
so you're right,
million
Benny, so I was just about to say
project.
the 10%, the
Well,
non-reimbursable.
that's 100
Has to
could be
come into the
more.
cap, whatever the non-reimbursable.
Could be more.
Needs to, whatever it is,
Yeah.
if it's 20, that needs to be part of the capital budget.
Exactly, that's the
Right.
reason for my question.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Okay.
So is there a method to get that reimbursed through the state? Is that, I heard one of you say?
Some of the FEMA disaster recovery monies incorporated a full reimbursement from a different funding mechanism that the state allowed through the state emergency office. But that might have run out. That's why I asked the question. Did you get anything?
We
on
have
the TS
received, we have received nothing. At this
Okay.
particular point, the only thing
You got the sand.
and we don't have it in writing.
Did you get reimbursed for the sand?
Yeah, we
replacement?
did, I'm sorry. We received all of the other projects. Everything else has
Except
been
this one.
closed
Okay.
out,
Well,
except for this one.
Might I suggest, I mean, obviously, I presume you have a lot of experience.
I have no experience.
So that's why you're the most valuable, I consider him the most
Yeah,
valuable
yeah.
commissioner,
No,
sorry.
I don't think so.
But seriously, if you would, could you work with Bishop
Yeah,
on
I
this?
have some
to-
documentation. I mean,
Yeah,
I want to, figure out that, because sometimes they'll do what's called a betterment. So if you're making something better than it
Right.
was, you're only entitled for the reimbursement for the equal
Right.
betterment.
Well, that's
Right.
what you were
And
That's
that's
why I'm talking about, it could be more than
Well,
10%.
with the drainage, right.
Yeah. And that was the purpose of the meeting, and I honestly feel that FEMA led us to believe there is mitigation money there.
Right.
and that we should be able to qualify.
Well, I would, could you, I think
can help.
actually,
Yeah,
we're
if you
not
can.
going to get through the capital expenditure
Okay.
tonight either. I think we'll have another discussion. We won't finalize it.
Okay.
So would you mind terribly work with
No, not
Mr.
at all.
Nowotnik
No,
to,
not at all.
one, the
offer whatever
FEMA,
assistance.
also on the capital budget, when we get to that, if you just, help us think through that. and
Okay, yeah.
the needs. Thank you very much. Thank you, Commissioner Salanitro. Okay, I think Fred, I had some quick questions. What is the Greater Plainland Coastal Park Coalition?
Oh, that's me, that's not Fred.
That's,
And, all right, what is that?
Well, there's an informal group that's been formed, which is the group from Edith Reed Sanctuary, from, I'm trying to think, Save the Sound, the Children's Museum, Rye-Town Park. I think those are and the Rye Historical Society. So those 5 groups. We just kind of informally got together, and at the moment, all we've agreed to is to create some sort of a historic walk that would run from Rye-Town Park through Playland and end up at Edith Reed Sanctuary.
Good.
And along the way, there would be these little historic signs and so forth. However, what I did want to do is make sure the commissioners had the statement, if you will. It's a draft still, but it gives you some sense of what this group is trying to do.
Do we have a statement?
Yeah, it's attached to the back of your packet, just as an FYI, that's all. There's no action to take.
Perfect. Good, okay, and then the ramp. What's the status of the ramp?
Well, the bids went out. We had a contractors meeting at the beach on April 8th. We had 7 contractors there. I spoke with the architect earlier this week, I guess it was yesterday. She is expecting 8 bids. I would be
Is that
happy.
Lisa?
Yes. No, well, it's Lisa's associate now, Laura.
Yep.
And I would be happy with 5 bids, to be honest with you. But there were 7 contractors there that were interested. 8 contractors picked up packets.
And when Friday?
Oh, no, the bids are due on Friday, the 24th.
Okay, great.
And we will see at that particular point
And
what
then
happens.
the last thing I had as could you make available to us the Biederman report?
Sure.
And then secondly, we probably should talk to these people, no? From Standard Amusement, I guess, is that the group?
Yeah.
In
Yes.
fact, I saw Kevin Plunkett the other night, and he was saying that there may be some opportunity to work with them in some fashion.
We should definitely talk to the folks at Standard Amusements, if not the county as well.
Yeah.
Because there were some suggestions in the Biederman report about the operation of the beach at
Oh,
Playland.
great.
And they were suggesting that they go with a no admission policy, which I thought was kind of interesting, given our
No
conversation
admission.
that
Oh,
for the beach, for the beach, which obviously if they're going to go in that direction, that's something we should know.
Yeah.
And we should coordinate with them. They were definitely trying to talk about synergies between the 2 spaces.
Great. Well, look, I'd like to participate in that process. Anybody else want to participate in reaching out?
Sure, so Laura and I are actually meeting with Standard Amusements.
Oh, when?
Next Thursday.
It's a City of Rye meeting for just Playland, not Rye-Town Park.
Okay. I see.
But the guy seems to be very amenable to meeting with
Great.
anyone that's interested. So I'm sure that if Joe, you, or Bishop, or someone from the commission reached out and asked for me, and I'm
Could you,
sure.
if you send me his contact details, I'll definitely reach out.
Yep.
And then, and if you guys want to, anybody wants to come to the meeting.
Invite
you
us
can.
all, and we'll try, one of us
Yeah,
will
yeah,
try and get there.
good.
I think it would be
Fantastic.
I think it
Yeah,
would be
I
helpful.
definitely want to do that.
Would that wind up becoming a meeting if you had too many?
Don't worry, I don't think you have to worry about that.
No? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I
Well,
don't-
we're
I don't
actually,
think-
we're not having a quorum, so that it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be.
exactly. I doubt we'll get to a
Yeah,
quorum.
I'm
If we
thinking there
do,
will be a quorum, yeah.
we'll, okay, great.
It's hard to get 4 of
I
us to
didn't have
come
any
to a
other
meeting. I don't
questions
think
for
we're gonna
Fred.
get-
Then, just, are we finished hiring? Where are we in the hiring process?
oh, no, we,
Just begun.
Just
all we
begun.
have is a skeleton crew there.
Okay,
And we're
so-
in the process of collecting
So we want,
applications.
shout out to all our students in the community.
Yeah, we put an ad in the paper.
And, can we contact the high schools?
We've already
We have in
contacted
the past.
Portchester High School.
All right, well, Rye Brook, Rye Neck, Rye City.
We've run advertisements in the various
Let's
papers.
get, this is a real opportunity. I was talking with somebody the other day, and just, this is a real opportunity to mentor these, mentor
absolutely.
kids, show them first job type stuff, bring them into our crack organization, Fred. So let's reach out and make that happen.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions, comments on the report? Thank you so much, Fred.
All right. One issue I just want to bring up. In your management report packet, this is the design of the plaque. If you'll recall, you were not here at the last
Yep.
meeting, but Goldie brought up that there is no plaque on the buildings or in the park designating it as on the National Register of Historic Places. So Bill worked on a design. This is kind of what we're thinking, and it'll be approximately maybe 20% larger than this, and we would put this on the building. We'll work with the plaque people. They can help us maybe improve the design.
Okay. So do you want us to vote on this, or do you want us?
Well, we just want to make sure that, people agree and there's no disagreement on the wording or
Right.
I thought just the building was on the National Registry.
No, the entire park
The beach
facility.
included?
The beach included, yes.
Okay. All right. Interesting, okay.
Do we want to?
So we do
Be
listen.
happy with this, or we want to think about it?
Looks fine.
It's fine? Okay, perfect, good. Goldie, thank you for that suggestion. Great, thank you, Bishop. She's busy.
Yep.
Okay, budget. I know you guys had some talk last time. I think there was some suggestion. I want to get this going because I know Mayor Sach has to leave. Should we just right into the
Yeah,
conversation, or what? Look, we all know the story after all these years, right? It's a very different kind of budget in that we're projecting revenues and expenditures. So I'd really just open up for questions, comments. I think the last meeting, there was discussion about a different pricing policy, and I think you concluded that you're going to maintain the existing
Correct.
pricing
Yeah,
policy for
this
this year, which is fun, which I'm supportive of. So I guess, are there any, I guess the only question really is the capital budget at this point, right? Or are there other questions of the
Well,
budget?
actually, maybe I could just ask one.
Please, sir.
So it looked like, Bishop, the revenues were pretty much about the same projected as they
Yes.
have been over the past few years.
Yes.
How about expenses? Are there any big differences year to year from, in this year's budget? Like, has the cost of labor gone up significantly, or are there any big
Well,
expenses? That-
there is if you look, you'll see that there is labor. I apologize, I did make the change. It's a 2% increase, not a 3% increase, as we had discussed. I forgot to change the notes there. I'll have them updated. We are moving our minimum wage employees. About 1/3 of our employees are in the minimum wage category. They're going from $8 to $8.75 because we have to be compliant with the law. Other than that, the rest of it is frankly relatively minor. We haven't paid the sewer taxes. Don't ask me why. I know why, because we still have the outstanding cert case, and we were advised by the attorney not to pay the taxes at the time. So there is a dangling item out there, which I will have for you.
But that's in reserve, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, that's definitely going to be a part of something that we have to do. Okay.
So should we go to the capital budget? Or
Yeah.
do you have questions? Because I think that's the principle.
But the rest is relatively easy. Just note, one of the things we did was we took maintenance and we split it out. We wanted to make sure that the commission had a little bit more accurate knowledge. It was $100 and some thousand number.
Yeah.
Now we have it split between building and grounds. We have a separate line called lawn maintenance, and we also have a separate line for tree maintenance. So we're going to be maintaining those lines separately. It'll give you guys a little more insight into how the spending is going.
But the total number is really not that much different from last year.
No.
So, capital, we got priority A, priority B. I assume we're not going to go past priority A, which is $90,000 is the proposal for this year.
Well, basically all we included there was the cost of the ramp, or the estimated cost of the ramp, and half of the security camera project,
Right.
which we have been postponing. I also included, for the commission's benefit, the proposed capital list for 2014. just so you saw that, the kinds of things we have been thinking about.
Well, so, but none of it was spent.
No, because we,
Right. 'Cause
we
the
had
ramp
some,
project didn't get
we had
done
some
last year.
serious problems. We had to buy sand.
Right.
That was 17,000. We had to buy a new tractor for 27,000.
I see, okay, you didn't put
We
that in here.
totally redid the garbage area. Now, so there were,
Could you do me a favor? Would you
there
put
were
the-
other projects
No, I know,
that intervened.
but could you just email to the group the actual capital expenditure from last year? Because you have the budget from last year.
Yeah.
If you could put
Oh, sure.
just the actual, thank you. Anyway, so we, basically, the ramp project that was supposed to be last year is this year. And I think it sounds like we put out bids, so we're looking at $90,000 as priority A, which is basically the ramp and security cameras. If you wanted to be more ambitious, we could do more ambitious, but I'm not sure if that's something that you want to contemplate or think is needed. I don't know, Benny, if you're familiar with this.
Well, I was only thinking about the sand. If Ride Beach is, Playland Beach is replenishing sand, and they replenished it last year, do we need to do the same thing?
We could use beach in the south end of our...
Since they're coming through us, is there any way not to tell them that we're using some of the sand? Is
Maybe
it-
some might fall off the back of the
I was
truck.
just
when
gonna
they're
say, I was gonna
pushing it
joke
down,
about
lift
that
the thing,
before. I
blade
think
up a
that
little
we've
bit?
gotta charge a toll for the use of our beach.
Yeah.
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 Well,
One yard, you know.
Or are they
When-
gonna, is their sand gonna be
When
here?
our,
and they're
when
gonna-
our beach rake went down, they loaned us theirs for
No, no.
2-3 months.
I know, that's why they should loan us some of their sand.
Yeah, it would be nice.
But your report said that the county is replenishing sand, and the sand is coming through our beach to get to their beach.
Yeah, through the gate.
Why is it the way the currents are working that they're losing sand and we're not?
No, I'd say we lost sand too, especially in our south side.
You think we need sand?
When I look at the sand, I see quite a bit of stones back again.
No. I think what happened was, Benny, they applied for FEMA money for the sand, we didn't.
No, we.
So
Right.
we
So
weren't
we have the
eligible,
survey
so
now.
we weren't eligible
No.
because we didn't have a survey.
didn't have a
Now we
survey.
have a survey, and
Now
so
we have a
now we're in a
survey.
better position.
Better
So that's
position.
something this commission
I know.
can take some credit for in a future storm.
You have
No one will be
priority
around to
B
remember.
of another $17,000 for sand for, I guess, whenever priority B gets done. Is it worth talking about maybe sliding the 17,000 into priority A? Is it something that we should have now and not put off, is the question?
I can only tell you that our product is the beach. And if the beach is in excellent shape, and we keep it very, very clean. Only problem is on the south end, it's kind of rocky and people, their feet hurt. So if we made that, if we spread sand down there, I think we'd be good. I think we'd be good to go.
Well, this is your
Yeah.
proposal, that's why I'm asking you, was there a reason why you didn't put the sand in A? Because I think the sand is important almost on an annual basis, so you keep that, because I see the same thing you're
The
saying.
reason why was because we got sand last year.
Well, okay, but I think Commissioner Salanitro, your question is absolutely correct. I think it's more for us. I think at the end of the day, I think you're suggesting we should do it, and I think that's absolutely correct.
Because I think last year we didn't get quite enough
Yeah, yeah.
sand.
No.
Especially 2
We
years
didn't.
in a
I remember we
row.
talked
We
about
didn't.
It's 2 years in a row, and exactly.
And then
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
the public sees the county replenishing
Right.
the sand and that.
I'd be happy to put it in A.
Perfect.
So would I.
Is that okay?
I've just recommended that
I
we
would
do.
agree as well.
A priority.
Because that is a focal point.
It's a priority.
Yep, so that would bring the capital budget to 107,200.
If the commission wants to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's possible, but I'm watching those huge piles of sand over there. Is there any way we could work with Playland to not necessarily get some of their sand, but I assume
was
they
my-
got a state bid of some sort? Would it
they-
be feasible to get somehow piggyback on that?
We will
100%.
check on it.
100%, yes. If it's the same quality sand that we would like to have in Rye Beach, and the commission is going to move forward on it, it would be practical to look at,
We were $3 a ton cheaper than the county bid
Yeah.
last year
and,
by going
Right.
direct.
right, yeah, sometimes you don't get the best deal.
They got their sand from Carreri in Portchester. That's where they got the best bid.
Yeah.
We can sell you some dredging material from Milton Harbor really cheap.
Well, we went to a supplier in Long Island.
So just to move
Yeah.
We
things
could
along.
use it to level off the bottom of the beach.
Bishop, you'll coordinate with the county.
Okay.
And secondly, unless there's objection, we'll move the 17,200 into priority A.
So, I mean, that presents a problem for us because I think we have the standard budget amount of $50,000 in total contributions to the park. So that 17.5 puts us over.
Wait,
So we-
50,000
so we-
including capital expenditure, sorry, 50,000 overall, everything?
Everything. So,
If the park breaks even, we're good.
but
Right.
right now they're projecting a $40,000 loss for the park.
Oh, yeah, but what did we do this year?
Nope, that's not true. Your
Well,
audit,
hold on 2 seconds. What did we do last year?
So what's your projection for the,
for 2014?
Yeah,
Well,
Actually,
we-
got it right here.
We lost $261.
I
so
saw.
it was flat.
All right, so
Hold on, let's
flat.
just take our actuals, hold on, let's just,
let's
we got our
slide.
actuals.
We can slide more over to A from B then.
That's fine. So let's go with the sand. But Bishop, I see you've got total expenditures of 939, total revenue of 899. Oh, that's 5-year averages. Pardon me.
Yeah.
All right.
If
Yeah,
you look on page 23.
So you got 924 and 924. Okay, never mind. I was looking at the wrong.
This is
All right,
subject to
good.
audit too.
So,
Right.
well,
Subject to
and we
audit.
So
can
we can do that.
always, like we did last year.
Yeah,
We
we
can
can
monitor things. If it rains the whole of July 4th weekend, we know we're gonna be,
Yeah, this is all
it'll be
just guesswork. I
problematic.
get it.
So, all right, good, that's great. So,
Yep, we'll move it over.
can I get all right, well, so well, first of all, then move the 17,200 to priority A,
Okay.
taking the total capital budget to $107,200. And I guess if there's no other questions, can I get a motion, any further questions on the capital budget or the budget?
Well, so for 2014, Bishop, you said we're projected to lose how much?
No,
No,
we have the actual.
audited report.
It's right here.
Okay,
in your
and-
packet.
It just came in.
And we made, or,
No, we
No,
broke
no, we
even.
lost.
Not yet, 261.
260. We
What
broke
page is that,
right, well,
Bishop?
so why,
Page 23.
Joe Carvin, why can't you write a check for $261 so you can say you're
Hey,
the first
I am.
president ever to balance the
No,
budget?
we
Oh,
made
no,
money
we
a couple years
made
ago.
money a
We made
couple
money a couple
years
years
ago.
ago. You know,
I think just before you arrived, we came in at $1,346.
892, look at that, isn't that beautiful? 892, 60, 53 revenues, 892, 934. I'll write that check, sure, why not? Perfect, yes. So if everybody's in agreement, then what I'd like to do is entertain a motion to approve the budget and the capital budget as revised.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Okay,
Okay.
call the roll, please, Bishop.
All right. Hang on a second. Commissioner Brett,
Yes.
Commissioner Salanitro.
Yes.
Commissioner Sach,
Yes.
Commissioner Carvin.
Yes.
Okay.
Work, and we got in under your 7:15 deadline, got 5 minutes to go. Good news, you get to stay here with correspondence. What correspondence are we looking at, Bishop?
There really isn't any.
Okay.
As I said, I added the security camera proposal that we had
Are
ready.
we putting this out, or when are we gonna?
Last year. No,
Okay, we
this
put
was
it out,
just,
right, right.
this was originally, if you wanted to see the detail on what we were
Gotcha.
planning on doing, you can see the chart here in terms of the equipment that we're planning on getting.
Sorry, we're rebidding this, or what are we doing?
It's out to bid now.
No,
out to bid
no,
now.
it's not out
Oh.
to bid now. This is,
April 11th, it came back?
no, this was.
14.
This was 2014, when we
Oh.
first started the project. We have to redo this.
So you have to rebid it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but, you know, I was anticipating that you might want to know what we were
Got
trying to
it.
do.
All right.
Yeah, the only question I had on that, and I looked at it, and I'm sorry I saw 14, I thought it was 15.
Yep.
Is, I think we talked about the use of wireless cameras, but do you have a Wi-Fi problem down there?
Yes and no. We are using Wi-Fi, but most of what we've done is we've hardwired almost all of the booths. The only booth we haven't done is the north booth, and we are using a Wi-Fi with a relay because of the distance.
All right.
But yes, we can have secure Wi-Fi there, and we can actually put in Wi-Fi cameras.
Because I read that it has to be hardwired from the, it's point to point, the way I read this, rather than over radio
Yeah, well,
waves.
the security people are saying that that's a more reliable service than Wi-Fi, and I have to agree with them, but,
Okay. So we might save money without doing all that hard wiring. is
oh,
what I'm
absolutely, absolutely. You
Can
will
we get the
explore
bid-
that.
can
In
we
fact,
get the
we'll
bid
put that
both
in as
ways?
an alternate.
Yes,
I
please.
would
Yeah,
have
I
no
think it's
problem.
important to do
Yeah.
that, because everyone's going wireless today.
Yep. And it would be nice to actually see or allow people to go to a website
Right.
and see the beach, just like they do out in California and some of the other places.
You gotta watch.
Beautiful.
Disclaimer on that.
Okay, can I get a motion to bring the meeting of April 21?
Oh, wait, so,
Well,
no, I
old
do have
business
one
and
more
new
question.
business.
So, we talked about this last year. If we break even this year, I know that at least the Rye City budget allocated for a certain contribution to be made toward the park this year, and we won't have used all of that up. And I assume that the same thing may be true for the town of Rye budget. I don't know what your allocation was for Rye Town Park costs.
I think
But
we
we
had
both,
30,000,
may both be under it.
Right.
I am going to see if we can move the Rye money that we didn't use for 2014 into the 2015 Rye Town Park
Beautiful.
budget, because there are certainly a lot of capital expenditures that are needed at that park.
Yes.
And we all need to begin, both of our communities do need to start making investments, and this is
No,
just
look,
one small step forward. So,
Yeah.
Bishop, if I can get the 2014 actual capital expenditures for Rye Town Park, by tomorrow night's meeting, I can get an answer from our
Beautiful.
I think-
city manager as to
I
what
think you
we've
have it,
allocated.
you have it right here, and, wait a minute, I'll tell you what page number to go to. You go to page 28, the last page, 26 rather, and you'll see that the city sponsorship funding for capital is 35,233.
Okay.
Okay.
And then if you go 2 pages before that, whoops, I'm sorry, 3 pages before that, page 23,
I don't have a page 28.
On the report?
28, you didn't get the last page?
26, oh, I'm sorry, 26 is what I meant to say.
All right.
It's the last
All
page.
right, okay.
The last
All right,
page of
that's
the
fine,
report.
okay.
All right, and you can see there, the sponsor funding for the city is 35,233. And then on page 23, your operating sponsorship is, I'm sorry,
153.
yeah. Right, 153,
So I think
$153.
Yeah.
right.
Right.
what Commissioner Brett indicated, this was discussed last year in terms of trying to have a boost for the capital budget, was to go to fund balance on the contribution from both the town and the city. If the reward for running a tight ship and having a budget come in as projected is that the allocated funds for both capital and operating would fall into fund balance
Right.
into the capital budget. So we're looking to build a capital budget, still have to approve the annual expense of that capital budget, but at least have the funding mechanism available through annual contributions from the city and the town of Rye.
Well, I think that's a terrific idea, and
We
one
did
of-
it one year, didn't we do that already? We
Yeah,
started
well,
process.
that was the $1,346 profit. That was rolled
Right,
over.
to capital.
And then it was netted against the next budget. This was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
So what we've done instead now is we're setting up in 2015 a separate capital account for Rye Town Park. So we will have those funds segregated.
we just have to have a commitment from the city and from the town of Rye
Right.
that the monies that they've committed in their operating budget for the purposes
Right.
of the Wright Town, supporting Wright Town Park and capital and operating would fall in regardless of whether the need is there or not.
Well, we,
Don't take it back. Don't be an Indian giver, Joe.
just the opposite. I'm thinking, but that's nice, but we need to do more.
Oh, well, yeah.
And
capital
so-
budget goes quick.
And I think the thing is, as Commissioner Brett, you're saying, those buildings are still deteriorating. Now, we talked about, at the town level, Bishop, I thought our two commissioners were going to do both Crawford Park and Rye Town Park update. That we had, Councilman Nayoris had done a fantastic capital expenditure and their needs analysis, really good, detailed about 4 years ago.
Yeah, 3, 4 years.
3,
ago,
4
right.
years ago, if you remember. It was an excellent report, and we were hoping he would do that again with Commissioner Nardi this year. I know he's definitely doing it for Crawford Park. Were they going to take on Rye Town Park as well?
No, that was not part of the scope of what
Okay.
they were looking at. It was purely going to be a Crawford Park
But a lot of
project.
that work is still
That work's
valid,
still valid, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Because he
Oh,
has
yeah.
done the whole spectrum of,
We should.
Everything.
Sorry, Fred, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to alert you that even though we did very well last year, Playland is only going to have fireworks on Friday nights, so we're going to have a financial hit from that.
How much do we generally make on Wednesday nights?
Well, we mostly pull in from parking.
That's
You know,
what I'm saying. What was that?
So
Do you
we'll
remember what it was?
pull, possibly-
$5,000 a night?
Yeah, no, not that, no.
2,000?
500, 600, 700,
All right, so-
1,000, depending on how many.
So you're gonna, 10 times 500, you lose $5,000-6,000 maybe?
That's right.
Right,
That's
okay.
right.
So so that, we should take note of that. Thank you, Fred. But we really do need to come up with a capital expenditure plan over time
Or
because.
the revenue side, to have the money available.
Yeah, so I think,
Or
you
have
know,
something available.
we put it off because we did the outsourcing and that didn't work. We should reach out to Standard Amusements, see where they are. And then I'll report back next month where we are. And if we can't get any progress on the private side or private-public side, we really need to think about, biting the bullet, coming up, I think we have to do something. Great.
Okay.
Okay, well, can I bring in a motion to bring the meeting to a close? A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're off the air?